And you never rolled film until everybody knew exactly what they were doing. So everybody was confident, everybody was clear, no mistakes. You go in now and sometimes you don't even know where the camera is.
Right.
They've got 3 cameras somewhere around the room. And you say, oh, well, and after a take, you say, on B camera. Well, where's B camera? Nobody told me about B camera. Where the fuck is B camera? You know?
Welcome to Locarno Meets, a movie podcast brought to you by UBS from the Locarno Film Festival. Colm Meaney is the definitive Irish character actor of his generation, having starred in classics like The Damned United, The Commitments and Layer Cake. He joined us to discuss his new movie and to tell us quite why digital cameras are so shit. Colm, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Congratulations on the Legend of the Happy Worker.
Thank you.
When did you first come across the project? Because some people seem to have been working on this project for about 40 years.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Duwayne, our director, was, I think he first moved it about certainly 30 years ago. And, it's getting that way nowadays in the film industry anyway, that everything takes forever, at least a couple of decades to get made. But he did. And then the problem with this picture was that after we had made it, there were problems between ownership rights and things like that. Okay. So that delayed. We actually shot the film in 2018. So it's 8 years ago. And it's just been released now. So that gives you an idea of where the film industry is at.
Can you remember it?
Yeah. No, I did. And I actually saw a screening earlier this year in Los Angeles.
What brought you to the project in the first place?
It's a script. It was a fascinating script. I mean, I wasn't like I was a little confused by it, but I was intrigued by it, and. I just felt it was just such an unusual. The dialogue, the characters, were not your regular kind of run of the mill characters. They're all pretty much off the wall, almost at times cartoonish.
Yeah.
And I just found that fascinating.
Yeah, I was going to ask because to watch it, obviously it's sort of surreal. It's goes into hyperdrive a lot. A lot of it is literally cartoonish, and I wondered if that sort of style read from the page, or if you were quite surprised.
Yes, it did, very much so. Yeah, no, it did, and it is, even the title's just The Legend of the Happy Worker. It's a folk tale, in a sense, and so that's very much the way Duwayne wanted it to be and shot it.
And if you're working on a film like that, a film like this, which kind of begs for interpretation, do you find yourself interpreting it, or do you just focus on your character?
Well, you interpret the character.
Well, of course. But I guess the broader project. Do you sit there going, is this a satire on, I don't know?
No, there are questions I think you ask before you go into it. I don't think they're not questions just, when you're shooting. You kind of, it's a bit late. It's a bit late for that. But certainly there are questions that I asked myself before we shot it. What is this saying? Is it a lament for the days of the old kind of, almost slave workers who worked blind loyalty to the owner of the enterprise, or is it is it a Luddite type idea? But they're all interesting. They were all interesting questions to me, and made me kind of more curious about it.
Well, it's interesting that you shot it 8 years ago, because right now it reads as an AI parable.
Yeah, very much so. Well, we were getting, even 8 years ago, we were getting the hints, the beginnings of the AI revolution,
How do you feel about all that?
I think it's extremely dangerous. Obviously, innovation is wonderful and can be used, for the betterment of humanity, but equally it can be very destructive. We're just talking at lunch now about social media and that, and kids growing up nowadays, where it's destroyed. Megan, who plays Josh's wife, and it was saying about she remembers Christmas morning. You know, you wake up Christmas morning, you got your thing there, and then you'd compare, you talk to your cousins that day or something, and you'd say, well, look what I got, and look what you got, and then you'd go and you'd see your friends outside the next day, and then you go back to school a week later, and you'd be saying, oh, I got this and I got that. Now it's like kids take photographs. And
send it to each other.
Yeah, and so it's instant. And so, like, you're immediately going, oh, she got that. Oh, I only got this. And I'm saying it's just the whole experience changes. And we don't think about that when we think about the social media and what it's doing to us.
No, we just sort of accept that what tech gurus do is sort of inevitable and kind of bend our industries over to them. I wonder if you feel like the film industry has got to perhaps make a bit of a, because it's such a high profile industry, it could make a bit of a stand.
Well, I have always hoped the film industry would make a bit of a stand, and it did at various times. I mean, my favourite film of all time is Bertolucci's Novecento, 1900, which came out, late 70s? But it's a wonder. I mean, to me, it was the epitome of filmmaking. It was a beautifully shot film, incredible actors, incredible characters, great story, and making a political statement. A positive, progressive statement, and that to me was like, this is what cinema should be about. And of course, we should be doing that. And especially the way the technologies have affected our industry as well. I mean, to me, digital cameras destroyed the actor's method.
How so?
Because for 100 years, the way we shot was you'd rehearse the scene with the director, and then you'd show it to the DP, and the DP would ask to make some adjustments, perhaps, and then you'd make those adjustments gladly and happily, and then you show it to the crew, and then other members of the crew might have something to say, but I can't do that, can you do this? And then we'd go away and get ready, and they'd, light it and set up, and then we'd come back and we'd rehearse with the camera. And you never rolled film until everybody knew exactly what they were doing. So everybody was confident, everybody was clear, no mistakes. You go in now, and sometimes you don't even know where the camera is.
Right.
They've got 3 cameras somewhere around the room. And you say, oh, well, and after a take, you say, B camera. Well, where's B camera? Nobody told me about B camera. Where the fuck is B camera? And I say, well, it's part of my craft is playing to the camera.
Yeah.
We don't rehearse anymore with camera. And the reason, I mean, they can do it because it doesn't cost anything.
Sure, but just because they can, I mean, I'm sure some directors can find brilliant ways of utilising that, right? But if it becomes
Very
the
few.
new lingua franca, okay.
Very few. And most directors now have never shot on film.
Right.
So you don't have that. I had a conversation with Stephen Frears, the great English director, about this, and I said to him, it's destroyed our process. And he said, nonsense. And I said, what do you mean nonsense? It has. We don't work the way we worked before. I said, of course. I said, do you shoot on digital? And he says, yes. And he said, exactly the same way I shot on film. And you can, of course, you can do that.
But he's Stephen Frears, so.
Yeah. But of course, you can do that. But who knows? And I mean, I have this all the time on sets nowadays. You do a take,
Yeah.
and I say we'll go again. Okay, we'll go again. But before we go, there's this little adjustment to make, and and you make that adjustment, and then you have to make that adjustment, and you make that adjustment, and you have to do something else. And half an hour later, you haven't gone again yet.
Is that all because there basically wasn't the pressure to set up absolutely perfectly
The first time.
the first time, right?
Exactly. So you wait half an hour, and then you say, we're going again. No, this is a different shot.
Yeah.
Because you've moved the camera now, because you moved that light, and you did this, did that. So that's a different shot.
And so to mess with the process, does that mess with the product?
I believe so. I believe it destroys the quality, yeah.
Do you feel like you've had to work extra hard to maintain quality in your own performances, given these new digital
Yeah, but
scenarios?
I don't know what's work extra hard, but you certainly have to fight extra hard,
Right.
you know, to get the kind of conditions you might want. And then you sort of start feeling like a fucking dinosaur, and you know, you know what I mean. It's like you start feeling like, oh, you're the grouse, you know. We just want to shoot the thing, you know. But you know, let's try and do it properly.
Yeah. I mean, but after, I don't know, 30, 40 years in the industry, I think, you know, you've presumably you've earned the place now where you feel like it's right for your voice to be heard on set.
Yeah, some people believe that, some people don't. You know what I mean? So I mean, I like to think that, you know, I've been doing it for nearly 50 years, actually, believe it or not. But it's like I'd like to think that, and I do. I mean, I do. But if I feel something is really wrong, and then, you know, like not telling you where the camera is, or putting an extra camera in without telling you. I mean, the actor has to know where the fucking camera is.
But it's so because that would have been a very strange art house project 30 years ago to, you know, not tell people where the camera is. The fact that that's just now becoming a norm feels surprising to me. Do you find that younger actors who've grown up with the digital world mind as much?
No.
No, okay, they're just used to it.
They just sort of like cope with it. Because they don't know any different again, you know, they've never shot on film.
I mean, for a man like you who works an awful lot, right, who shoots a lot of stuff, I mean, I guess it's a time saver, right?
No, it really isn't. You save time by doing it the old way. I mean, I know they think they're saving time because they can just, you know, blah blah blah, stick the camera in here, grab that. And what must editors do? Editors must be suicidal. Yeah. I mean, they have hundreds of hours of crap to watch.
Yeah.
You know, that's just unusable. What's the point? You know, let's stick a camera there in case we grab something good. Well, fuck that.
Make sure you get
if I'm doing a big emotional scene, I have to do 28 takes because you're fucking around with the camera. That's not fair. It's not good. And the whole emphasis on the set now has gone away from the performance. It's all about the DP, the lighting, you know, the technical side of things. The performance is almost incidental now.
Is that a cultural thing?
Huh?
Is that a cultural thing? Why's that happened?
No, it's because
It is just a result of the
the
tech.
result of the technical of the way we've gone.
Well, looking back at times when that was less of a nightmare, I was thinking about the 1990s, and I was thinking about you working at a period where you work on The Commitments and then The Van, you know, these films based on Roddy Doyle's books. I was thinking what an exciting moment it must have been to be sort of translating Irish literary traditions for your medium.
Yeah.
It must have been.
It truly was. No, it was great. I mean, to get the chance to play the same character, even though you had a different name in each film because of copyright or something, but it was the same character, you know. We know that from the novels. To play the same character in three movies back to back was you know, I mean, you don't get that opportunity, you know, unless it's a Marvel comic or some crap, you know. You just don't get that opportunity. So it was wonderful. Yeah. And to work with directors like Alan Parker and Stephen Frears, you know, it was very special.
The Commitments especially was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, it was.
How was it? Everyone, I don't know, back in Dublin.
Oh, they loved it. Absolutely, yeah, they loved it, and it's still popular. It's still watched, and the Snapper the same. I was in Dublin last week, and it's like, you know, they're like, you know, people. I just watched the Snapper last week, you know. It's like, it's great. 30 years later, they're still watching it, you know.
But am I right in thinking that Irish Americans somehow felt a little bit differently?
Irish Americans are a peculiar bunch. They think that every Irish film should basically be, you know, a film for the tourist board.
Right.
You know, they don't like anything gritty or any social realism about Ireland. You know, they want sort of leprechauns and rainbows and, you know, shamrocks and green fields.
So which films do they like?
Darby O'Gill.
Right. I mean, and at the same time, you're working on, you know, these great films that we're talking about. You're also doing Star Trek. What does it do to a man's life to be cast in Star Trek?
Well, for me, it was great because it was, I'd done a lot of theatre, but I hadn't done a lot of film and television before that. So it was a great opportunity to work in front of a camera every day, And we shot Star Trek on film.
Well, of course.
There was no digital rubbish then. Um, so, so I'm such a progressive thinker, aren't I? But it was great, and science fiction is not a genre I've any great love for,
Sure.
or certainly then, and it was very interesting to kind of become aware that the way the writers on Star Trek used the genre in order to comment on contemporary issues.
That was a brilliant show.
Like homelessness, genetic engineering, all of these issues, was actually really eye-opening for me.
But what about, to be suddenly catapulted, not just into like an American audience, but a particularly passionate audience, in a role that I assume will kind of on some level follow you for the rest of your life. That must have been a shock to the system.
Not really. Not really. I didn't do a lot of the conventions.
Right.
So that kind of...
That's a shame.
Kept me away. I'm supposed to be in Las Vegas this weekend, actually, for a Star Trek convention, but I had to blow it off.
Somehow you chose the Alps over Las Vegas?
Yeah, 12 hours in Vegas is enough for me. It's talk about sensory overload, But no, it was. I know the whole thing about Shatner's famous comments about Star Trek fans, but I've always found Star Trek fans to be kind of like professional fans.
Right.
They know the etiquette. They know what goes on. So they come to you and they say, "Excuse me, sorry, could you possibly do this?" And when you do it, they go. They leave you alone. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never had a real problem with Star Trek
Gentlemen fans.
Exactly. They know the ropes. Yeah.
But that presumably for your career catapulted. I did want to...
Well, the interesting thing is, career-wise, it was like it was two different actors.
Oh, right.
There's the Star Trek audience didn't really go to the movies I made.
Right.
And the people who knew me from the movies I made didn't really know I didn't watch Star Trek.
Okay.
So it was like I was these two different characters, two different actors. And I was very fortunate during Star Trek because Rick Berman, the exec producer, I had been recurring on Next Generation, the series before Deep Space Nine, and I was anytime I'd go away, I'd do a feature, come back to Los Angeles, and I'd do a few episodes of Star Trek. It was great, And then they asked me to go over to DS9 as a regular cast member, and I was kind of reluctant to do it because
is that like 30 episodes a year or something?
26, yeah.
Americans know how to do TV.
Yeah. And I was sort of reluctant, and he said to me, "Well, what's Rick Berman said, what's your issue with it?" And I said, "Well, I'm sort of doing, quite a few features, and I want to be able to keep that going." And he said to me, "Look, if there's a feature that you really want to do, come to me, we'll talk about it, and I'll cut you loose for a couple of episodes to do it."
That's cool.
Yeah, it really was. And he was, and I kind of thought, oh, yeah, they promise you the sky, but will it really? And I have to say, for 7 years, Rick was absolutely true to his word. I usually did 2 or 3 features every year, even when I was shooting 26. I wouldn't do 26 because he'd cut me loose for maybe 3 or 4. And then in the hiatus, the 3 months off, I would have, squeeze a feature in there too.
What is it that drives you to work quite so regularly? Is it just the love of the game?
Yeah, I love what I do. I enjoy it, and when you're offered interesting stuff, you kind of, the temptation's too strong. Do I want to sit in my ass, or do I want to go work with this great director? Yeah.
What do you miss about sets when you're not on them?
Jeez, I don't know.
Maybe nothing.
No. No, I like the daily activity of, and Schedule wise, I mean, I don't like. I don't want to work too slow.
Sure.
You know, something like Con Air, for example, was like, 3 days to shoot a quarter page. That's sort of a bit enervating, you know.
How many takes to record your legendary intro to that film? When you zoom in on the car.
Oh yeah, yeah, quite a few, and there was a lot of different angles as well.
Oh yeah, that is Michael Bay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
No, that was actually Con Air was Simon.
Yeah, sorry, I'm confusing my Nick Cage 90s action movies.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Simon Curtis.
Yeah.
Sorry, Simon. In case you're listening.
My bad.
But yeah, it was. I like to work at a reasonable pace and like, maybe 4 to 6 pages a day, and that, daily activity of like exploring a scene, getting it up on its feet, and that's what I mean about our process then was so wonderful, and it took 100 years to develop that. You know what I mean? You just don't throw it out, but it was thrown out.
Do you think that makes it harder for actors to transition from the stage as well?
Yeah.
Which has really been the machine that cinema has been lucky existed.
Yeah,
it's been keeping it fed with talented and experienced actors for 120 years.
Yeah.
When's the first time you can remember having a wonderful moment with cinema, like going to see a movie or?
I actually worked last year with Malcolm McDowell.
Oh yeah.
And I talked to him about If,
Amazing movie.
the Lindsay Anderson film. And I said, that's why I'm an actor. I told him, and he looked at me and said, well, it's only taken you 60 years to tell me that. But If had a huge effect on me. I was maybe 13 when I saw it. And
Perfect age.
And it just blew me away. It was everything about, rebelling against authority, and the performances were fantastic. Lindsay Anderson was a genius. So If was definitely the...
Can you remember where you saw it?
In the Carlton Cinema in Dublin. Yeah.
It's amazing how that happens, isn't it? Just if a movie means something to you, you can remember forever where you saw it.
Yeah.
And what about acting wise? Who are the people you looked up to and admired?
Well, someone like Malcolm would have been, O'Toole, and then, when you think of the movie stars, Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, they were wonderful presences, and but then I loved great character actors too, like Ralph Richardson and those guys. I was a huge fan of them. I mean, I kind of felt that's where my real possibility was.
Right,
I've always been a character actor.
Did you always feel like, were you confident that you were going to end up in movies?
No. No, I started the School of Acting at the Irish National Theatre, and just to get a job was like, and I had a great mentor there, Pat Laffin, one of the members of the company, and he always said, don't listen to any nonsense about being a star. Being a star is ridiculous. You want to be a working actor. And that stuck with me very strongly. To be a working actor is a noble ambition.
Well, I mean, right now, actually, Ireland is producing stars. I mean, Barry Keoghan, who you were in Bring Them Down with, which is a film I really loved. I thought it was fantastic.
Really? Oh, good. Yeah, it's very. People are split on that.
Oh no, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't like to think about sheep having their legs cut off, but I thought
my wife couldn't watch it because she has adopted 4 sheep. We have in Mallorca, and
I could see
she shears them and felts the wool and makes hats and things. So it's
a slightly different pace.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Barry, Saoirse Ronan, Cillian Murphy.
Saoirse's a phenomenal talent.
Yeah, I mean, these people are the biggest and most important. Yeah, Colin Farrell, of course, like biggest, most important actors in America. What is it about? I don't know, Irish theatre or teaching or the industry that's producing so many stars right now.
Yeah, I think we always produce good actors, but they didn't get the exposure, and I think there's much more, or there was, maybe there's still more openness to the fact that actors, I mean, you get like a lot of the leading actors in America are not Americans anymore. They're Australian or British or Irish or whatever, which says something about what America used to be until very recently. And a very open and accepting country. Like I spent time in England as a young actor, and then I went to America, and it was night and day. I mean, like there's no way you'd get hired in England as an English character if you're Irish.
No.
Whereas in America, you could play American and nobody asked any questions.
What's next for you?
I got two nice ones in the can. One called The Panic, directed by Dan Adams. It's about the financial crash of 1907, which a lot of people don't know about it because it was kind of overshadowed by the big
I don't know
the 28 Great Depression. But it's a fantastic story about and all the sinister suspects are in there. I play J.P. Morgan, and Kerry Elvis plays Smith Barney.
Oh, right.
And Teddy Roosevelt's in there. All the big bankers and that, and the shenanigans they were up to. It's a great story, and that should be out this fall, hopefully. And then I did got a Netflix thing coming out with Sally Field.
Oh, cool. Nice. All right. Well, thank you very much for talking to us, and congratulations again on Happy Work.
All right. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.